Okay, so my name is Naomi. I am a doula and a aspiring childbirth educator and a mama of one. I just became a mama 10 months ago in April of 2024, and I have been a stay-at-home mom since, and I have just been studying up on all things childbirth, the crunchy living, all of that. Like and subscribe if you like this video. Now let's get started. This video is about sustaining a life outside of the womb. So this is something that is very taboo. It's not really talked about, and obviously if you're contemplating this issue, you probably don't want to talk about it, you know? I really think that it's an important issue because there's a lot of misconception about pregnancy. There's a huge misunderstanding between women who give birth in the US and the government. And I just want to come on here and help you understand that you have a huge support system, and if it's not with your family, it's with the communities around you, and I just want to help you find those communities. Having a pregnancy is something that is no joke. It's not easy, and in fact it's very mind-boggling. It's mind-bending to think that the rest of your life is going to change from this point on, because you now have to sustain another being. I completely empathize with those women who feel like they don't have much to offer, because I had those feelings when I was pregnant for the first time. I went through a lot of self-doubt. I thought that because I wasn't a CEO, because I wasn't, I have been single and living my life to the fullest up to 26 years old. And then when I got pregnant, I realized that I had really not achieved anything that I wanted. I thought that I had nothing really to offer to this new life that I was bringing into the world. I spoke with friends and family. I had a lot of opinions and a lot of comfort, and I think that's one of the big things that allow you to actually realize that you can sustain life outside of the womb is actually having a good support system. So if you are out there and you realize that you are pregnant and you don't really know if you want to tell anyone, I encourage you to actually talk to your family, because chances are they're going to be really happy that you're bringing life into the world. I encourage you to talk to your significant other, the father of this child, and I encourage you to actually sit his ass down and tell him that he is expecting a newborn and he better settle down and get to work, because you are going to be sustaining that child emotionally and he needs to be the man. So those are just my views. That's what I did when I had my child, and my man actually came through for me. All of the things that him and I wanted to take our time on, I expedited all of it, and my husband was man enough to really come through for all of those things. And I feel like it's TMI to be sharing this stuff, but for women who are having unplanned pregnancies, you are probably going through something like this as well. So and despite the modern take on you can do it yourself, you can be this single mother and there's nothing wrong with it, listen to me, there is something wrong on the greater scope of things to be a single mother, especially once that child is hitting their teenage years and so forth. They are going to need a father figure, and if you don't provide that for them, that is something that you are going to be held accountable for. So I really believe that we are going to be held to every action that we make, and providing a child the support system that he deserves is something that you are in charge of. So I encourage you to fix your relationship with your partner. I encourage you to fix whatever relationship you may have with your family and start getting along with them, because you need a support system. And that's that. If you are a pregnant mother, you need to demand a support system. So that's number one. Number two is educate yourself on pregnancy. So if you are experiencing a pregnancy for the first time, you are probably not going to know anything about what is going on inside of your body, and modern day education does not really do pregnancy justice. So you need to take it upon yourself to actually understand what is going on inside of your body to actually sustain it for the next 9 months, because prenatal nutrition is vital, it is crucial, important, everything you can possibly think of. The fact that you eat is, and the quality of ingredients that you are putting in your body are going to dictate the rest of that child's life. So it's your job to make sure that you are getting all of those nutrients in, and that you educate yourself on what those nutrients are. Because chances are, if you are watching this video, you live in the United States, therefore there is no excuses. There are dozens of government programs out there that give you prepaid debit cards, if you're a US citizen, of course, that will allow you to even buy organic. This is why I think pregnancy is just so mind-bending, so mind-boggling, and like completely world-shifting, upside down. Nothing is what it used to be. Nothing is what it appeared to be, because once you start tapping into prenatal nutrition, you come to learn how much we have been lied to in the United States about our bodies and about nutrition and the human body in general. So I really don't know why this hasn't been talked about before. Maybe it's the fact that we are coming to an era of a lot of knowledge. A lot of nutritionists are releasing books, they're releasing podcasts, and this information is becoming more public. I don't know why. This hasn't been like a trend before, but that prenatal nutrition has not been what I was taught. I went to school in like 2010, I graduated in 2015, and I grew up with the food pyramid, where the basis of the food pyramid, the basis of our nutrition, is supposed to be grains and wheat and starches, flour, and the bottom of the pyramid is supposed to be like fats and butters, lard, and like all of those yucky fats and whatever, when in reality it's all upside down. It's upside down, and somewhere in the bottom middle is like your protein. The normal foods that we are used to eating don't allow us to even hit our protein goals, because our milks are pasteurized. We're not used to eating cheese. We are not used to eating fermented foods. We are not used to eating protein as a basis. So how on earth are we supposed to hit those protein goals? So yeah, like if you actually try to hit your protein goals with a standard American diet, it's just like, it almost feels like impossible. And that's why I think that you see all those pages of like adding like protein powders and like supplements to actually hit your protein goals for like fitness influencers, because it's just not possible. If you read up on prenatal nutrition, you open up yourself to a homestead lifestyle, and it's the type of wisdom that we have been deprived from because of the feminist movement, in my opinion. A lot of feminists went out and started living their lives outside of the home, and a lot of wisdom did not get passed down to us. So we started getting our nutrition from packaged meals rather than getting it from our mothers. I think starting now, if you don't already know this, is the time to actually start. Number 3, you have to understand the logistics of actually having a child. So if you were raised American and you have been living in the past 20 years. It has been going around among your peers that they probably don't want to have kids when they grow up, because they don't want their kids to grow up poor the way that they did. They don't want their kids to experience the struggle. Now, there is not a bigger misconception about starting families than the fact that you need to have $1 million in your bank account to sustain kids. If you think about it, our ancestors and people decades, centuries, and centuries and centuries before us lived and had plenty children with less than what we have today. I really think that our generation is very much feline, and they are way too domesticated into thinking that they need to have every commodity possible before they even start thinking about having children. So if you are experiencing an unplanned pregnancy and you have this mindset of, I don't have a house with an extra room, how am I going to provide for a kid? You need to change that, because that is the human experience, is to struggle. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to not have an extra room. It's okay to start. It's okay to start having a family. Now, eventually you will have to provide extra room, extra space, but that's just what happens in life. It's pressure, adapt. After you have your child, you do not have to feed them solids for the first 6 months. You have time to adapt, come up with more income. There are plenty of resources out there where you can rent out your vehicles. So what my husband and I did is I started renting out my vehicles on Turo, and I started staying at home to come up with a little extra money. Now, I didn't have a vehicle to actually get out, but that is a compromise I made in order to make a little extra money on top of his income. And those are just sacrifices that we've been making. On to number 4, and personally, I think that this is the most vital and the most important part of this whole video, and this one is actually finding out what you believe in and start to practice it. Now, you might wonder, why is this important? Because you are going to be raising brand new children with brand new minds, and you as a parent, you have the responsibility to program those minds in order to release them out into society so they can be quality human beings. So you better find out what that is that you want to pass down and that you want to teach, and actually begin to practice it, so your children can actually know how to practice it, because they are going to be watching you as parents. I would recommend that you cling on to your faith, because you're going to need it, okay? You are going to need faith in order to make this happen, so you better start now. Whatever it is, you are going to have to teach it to your children, and you are going to have to know it, because if you don't know it, your children are going to learn that you don't know what you're talking about, and they're going to see right through you one way or another, and they are going to decide whether they respect you or not. Some of the things that you have been practicing are probably just not going to fit in your life anymore. So if you were probably like an OnlyFans creator, because you were about that money and you fell into the trap of selling nudes online, because OnlyFans is just like Instagram, at one point or another, your children are going to find out who you were. And especially in this age that you are in right now of social media, they're going to learn, and you are going to have to own up to it. So I recommend cleaning yourself up. Do a mental spring cleaning. Get your spirituality right. Get your mind right. Get your body right. Get your get your mentality straight, because you are now in charge of your children. On to tip number 5 on managing an unplanned pregnancy is embrace parenthood. Embrace the fact that you are about to start a family. Now, I think this really goes down to the core of all of this, where in our society, we are taught that we need to have a tough heart, and if we don't have a family, or if we don't have a solid partner that we just completely, utterly align with before bearing children, that you need to let go of that person and you need to find your person in its due time. I really think that we have been fed a ton of lies about what love truly is. And I know that a lot of people are afraid of settling down. They don't want the life of like a house with a picket fence and a dog and 5 kids. They don't want that. But if you start understanding what your life is going to look like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line, as women, we have a biological clock. We have and we don't have a lot of time before we start aging. And that is something that a lot of women don't want to talk about. They think that they can fix it with Botox, when in reality, it's deep in our core that we age. So by the time that we're 30, by the time that we're 35, 40, and we start experiencing bone density loss, and we start experiencing infertility issues and advanced maternity age, by the time that you're 40, you want to be able to understand that you are going to need younger people, aka children, to be able to take care of you. I think this sort of aligns with passages from the Bible about preparedness and about holding those woman attributes. And this really ties down to being prepared for the future. And the best way to be prepared for the future is by having a solid spouse and children that respect you, who are strong to take care of you. And the best way to do that is by actually embracing parenthood and accepting, realizing that this is the beginning of an entire new life. I really think that these 5 tips that I came up with are truth-oriented, and I tried to align them to my woman experience. If you enjoyed these 5 tips, let me know so we can chat, and yeah, I hope that this helps.